Someone left a comment on my video about why I use an iPod as a Gen Z girl instead of streaming on my phone and asked me to make a video about withdrawing from pop culture in the digital world. It's not something I've ever really thought too much about before until now. It's true that my lack of social media usage and lack of YouTube viewing means that I'm missing out on a lot of internet pop culture. I don't know what meme formats are currently popular. I don't know TikTok trends. I don't know what shows or movies are being marketed hard online. I don't know the names of the newest micro trend aesthetics. I don't know which celebrities are getting into scandals, who is dating who, or if someone has been canceled. I certainly don't know the names of the newest internet celebrities or their claim to fame. And I like it that way. Why would I want to be swept up in the latest outrage? Why do I need to see photos of this random celebrity's baby? I don't particularly care. I wasn't always this way, of course. I used to watch e-news every single day after school when I was younger. I'd occasionally subscribe to magazines. I was always educated on the current positions of everyone on the Billboard Hot 100, and I would spend hours reading celebrity gossip on news sites and forums. As a teen, I was heavily invested in the happenings of my favorite acts like Justin Bieber, One Direction, Ariana Grande, K-pop groups, and even going on to always follow multiple update accounts for actors like Timothée Chalamet. For Justin Bieber and One Direction, I even went so far with my fanaticism as to have Google alerts on so I could get notified in the middle of my classes every time new articles were published about them. This meant that I was no longer paying attention to math, but instead I was discreetly focused on my phone, sacrificing my understanding of what's being taught because I would rather get outraged by a publication trashing them. But at some point, I outgrew the need to care so much about people who are total strangers to me. I don't mean care in a human sense regarding empathy. I mean care as in being invested in their lives outside of actually releasing music or movies I want to enjoy. The time I spent focused on their doings was taking away time for me spending my own life in a meaningful way. I was never one to get into comment wars or be a fan who behaves as if they are a bodyguard and lawyer for their fave, but seeing that in action going on and on and on, comment after comment, post after post, really makes you wonder, how do you even have enough time for this? How do you have the energy for this? By the time I started university and had more work and life responsibilities, it became clear that I really didn't have the time or energy for it anymore. I used to be a content creator for my favorite franchises and groups, with some of my most notable happening in 2016. I ran a blog dedicated to the 2016 film Suicide Squad, where I posted updates of the film, images, and everything related to its release. I attended a premiere and wrote a popular review of the movie before official release, and was given the task of attending the upcoming premiere for Doctor Strange and other Marvel and DC offerings for subsequent updates and reviews. At the same time, I was also running a much simpler Tumblr blog dedicated to Blackpink awaiting their debut. Longtime fans of the group will know that they were teased by their company for several years and had many fans anxiously awaiting their official debut to the world. I was doing translations, making graphics, photo edits, and GIFs of their current happenings that were expected to be posted within 1 hour of whatever footage was released as an unspoken rule by followers. I was in a network with other Blackpink content creators, and we had a large group chat to share resources, collaborate, and figure out the best way to keep content accessible for English-speaking fans without access to Korean media and apps. The point of me sharing this is to say that I have been involved with pop culture as a casual fan, dedicated fan, hands-on content creator, and small-scale content creator. Through it all, I have learned that being completely plugged into pop culture is not the key to happiness, nor is it necessary in anyone's life. Now that I'm at a point where I pretty much only go online for work, school, or to Google something, and have been completely without social media, have no idea what's hot and what's not, I can say for a fact that it really does feel better to not rely on people being spied on by the paparazzi as my entertainment. It feels better to not have a million people's opinions being blasted into a comment section sway my opinions to better mimic the popular rhetoric. I am perfectly happy being late to something. It doesn't matter if I find out about this trendy song in a week or in a year. I'm gonna get the same enjoyment. I find that I actually enjoy things so much longer now since it doesn't get played out or feel oversaturated for me seeing it 1,000 times online in the span of a month. I've seen people buy something popular on TikTok, and by the time the package arrived 10 days later, it was already considered a dead trend, and they felt self-conscious wearing it. It was only considered dead because people truly get overly saturated far too quickly online. A funny moment shared between friends can become an inside joke for years to come, but when it's being parroted by millions of people day in and day out, how can you not get sick of it and deem people cringe for using it past the expiry date? Since I've withdrawn from keeping up with pop culture, I find that very, very few things I enjoy seem to expire. That is a perk that cannot be overstated. I also have learned to rely on my own instincts and natural desires to drive me in my choices. I don't need a mood board or a micro trend to style me. I don't need TikTok to tell me what useless products to get from Amazon. I don't need hype to tell me what show to watch on Netflix. I couldn't care less about being out of the loop, and there is absolutely no fear of missing out. Something I find interesting is that many people have the thought that if they take a step back from the online pop culture world, they won't know anything at all. That is completely false. Everyone and their mama knows about the Will Smith slap. That's a true iconic moment in pop culture. Random trending TikToks and memes are not. These are small moments that get 15 minutes of fame and then they die out, only to be remembered by a few and in sparse moments. A true pop culture moment lives on, and you don't have to be on Twitter to see it. True pop culture moments don't happen every day. Even songs that do well in the charts don't always live on to be engraved in our memories as a long-lasting hit that shook the world. Updates in our lexicon and vocabulary don't happen overnight or on a frequent basis. Just because a show is #1 on Netflix right now doesn't mean it will still be impactful or discussed 6 months from now. I just want you all to know that when something that's really big and truly worth hearing about happens, you will absolutely, without a doubt, hear about it, even if you cancel your internet connection. You'll see the posters or billboards. You'll overhear people talking about it when you're at Walgreens buying Band-Aids. You'll see merch being worn by people who were definitely not sent sponsored products to post it for their followers to see. But what you don't need to do is stay stuck in the loop of thousands of pieces of information being thrown at you day in and day out, hoping that you can laugh, be outraged, and have your eyes glued to the screen. There's no actual FOMO to be had. Instead, there's much fun to be had with slow information. By that I mean just reading a book, listening to long-form podcasts with episodes that are like 2 hours long, watching a show or movie without also scrolling your phone for extra dopamine. Because I'm not constantly injecting new content into my brain every 10 seconds, I find that I'm much more satisfied with one piece of content at a time, and the effects last much longer. I used to watch movies all day, every day, but now I don't even watch them on a weekly basis. Watching one movie feels very satisfying. I'm watching without distraction, and the satisfaction I feel holds me over for a longer period of time rather than chasing that high back to back to back. I imagine that's what it must have felt like years ago when movies weren't available on demand in every household and people would always have to visit a cinema to see them. Being excited whenever you saw a poster in town instead of the ad company putting them on your screen every time you scroll. Making the trip to the movies an event rather than just putting something on randomly at 11 a.m. Remembering the experience and savoring it until you saw another movie maybe a month later. When your media isn't constant or instant, it's so much more impactful. It's funnier, it's scarier, it's more shocking, it's more memorable, it's more fun. Years ago, the only content people had was what was available in their towns. Your own newspapers, plays, local gossip, local clothing stores, and peers to compare yourself to. Now we have access to the entire world at all times, and it's completely overwhelming. So much of the fun and especially longevity is being sucked from our entertainment because as soon as it's released, or many times even before it's released, you have the negativity brigade making hour-long video essays about why it sucked and why everyone who likes it sucks. The same songs and dances are being posted 100 times an hour, making people feel late to a trend that just started a week ago, and others being sick of it after 3 days. It's exhausting. To sum it all up, withdrawing from pop culture online has not been a scary thing, nor has it put me at a disadvantage. I have more time to focus on my own life rather than random millionaires with questionable amounts of talent. My regained attention span allows me to enjoy media uninterrupted without feeling the need to visit social media while I watch so I can get some extra dopamine. I enjoy media significantly more without it feeling played out or dead quickly. And overall, I'm just so much happier and relaxed without all that content buzzing around my head all day. I am not a breaking news journalist. I don't need to be up to date on everything at all times. And neither do you.